Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 110 of Be With Me. We're in the book of Acts, and we're following the travels of Paul and a few other guys on the second missionary journey. Now, Paul has just gotten kicked out of Berea. The people of Berea mostly they received the word with all eagerness. They examined the scriptures daily to see if the things that Paul was saying was true. But then a rabble arrived from Thessalonica, 50 miles away, agitated and stirred up the crowds, got people angry at Paul, and so he went to the coast to make a 222-mile trip to Athens, Greece. Now, for those of you who have seen a picture or visited Athens, it is a very impressive city. It is an impressive city today. And guess what? When Paul visited in approximately 50 AD, it was an impressive city there. The Parthenon, think about this, the Parthenon was already 500 years old, majestically sitting on top of the Acropolis, the high city of ancient Greece. They didn't consider it ancient at the time, but the Parthenon was already 500 years old when Paul got there. So, and here's the thing we need to understand. We go as tourists today, and these are kind of generic monuments to classical architecture, but they weren't that for that time. They were specifically made for one purpose, and what is that? For worship. Athens was built for worship. And when Paul got there, he found that it was entirely committed to misworship. That is, worshiping the wrong thing. So listen in here. This is from Acts chapter 17, verse 16. Now, while Paul was waiting for them in Athens, his buddies didn't make the trip, his spirit was provoked within him as he saw that the city was full of idols, devoted to idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with the Jews and the devout persons, and in the marketplace every day with those who happened to be there. And you can see all that today. You can see the monuments and the agora. And some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers also conversed with him. And some said, "What does this babbler wish to say?" Others said, "He seems to be a preacher of foreign divinities," because he was preaching Jesus and the resurrection. And they took him and they brought him to the Areopagus, which is Mars Hill, saying, May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting. For you bring some strange things to our ears. We wish to know, therefore, what these things mean. Now, all the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there would spend their time in nothing except telling or hearing something new. All right, so back to the main point today, which is that Athens was built for worship. And unfortunately, every part of Athens up to that point was built for misworship, except maybe the Jewish synagogue. The good news is that the people of Athens were sensitive to godliness. I'm using a small g there. That is, that there is a God bigger than me. They understand that God has a power and an influence above me, and that I have duties to that God, some obligations and resources and consideration, and maybe even worship. So they sort of have the outlines of the right thing. But the bad news is they built the whole city devoted to idols and idolatry and shot their arrows at gods that don't even exist. They missed the only thing that they were actually shooting at, which is the one true God. And the other thing we need to know is that these temples that were there, they weren't just, monuments. They were devoted to them. They were actual temples where money was devoted and activities were devoted and effort was devoted. And what Paul finds here is when he walks around the city is all those efforts were in vain. So Paul is accused of being a preacher of foreign divinities, which is kind of right in the sense that anything that's unknown to you, we would call foreign. So they were right on that point. Secondly, is this divinities, and maybe he was maybe they got confused about the Trinity. People are still confused about it today sometimes. So that might actually be that we get a sense that they were kind of listening. They do kind of make the accusation, though, that this unknown God is perhaps unknowable, and Paul is going to straighten him out on that. So he debates in the synagogue, which he's had the habit of doing, but also in the marketplace. And now this Agora, this Mars Hill area, this was an outdoor shopping mall kind of a thing. So lots of people, and if he's debating people there, he spoke Greek. He was educated in the Greek language. So he had no language barrier when he went to Greece. All right, so they call this a new teaching, and they may be right in that sense too. Jesus said at the Last Supper, "A new commandment I give you, which is to love one another." And it's new because now everybody has the Holy Spirit, and that they've had the great example of Jesus. So you get the sense that they kind of want to know. They even say it. We wish to know what these things mean. And the whole city, I think, demonstrates that they kind of want to know, because the whole city is built on worship. So this makes me think of the verse from Ecclesiastes 3:11. He has put eternity into man's heart. That is, there's a God-shaped hole in every single person's heart. And every person you meet here today has a God-shaped hole, H-O-L-E. And tomorrow we're going to find out what Paul does with this hole, that he's going to use this eagerness that the Athenians seem to have for God, small g, and turn it into an eagerness for the one true God, capital G. So he's going to make that God-shaped hole, H-O-L-E, and he's going to turn it into the God-shaped whole, W-H-O-L-E. So stick around for tomorrow as we learn about the Athenians who go from being built for misworship, and Paul's going to correct that and say that Athens is then going to be built for worship. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.